Here's the top 3 Fidelity Index Funds to consider in the year 2022. Number 1 is going to be the Fidelity Nasdaq Composite Index Fund. This fund has a 0 transaction fees, so you can buy into the fund without paying any fees. The expense ratio is 0.29%, which is pretty low, and there's $0 minimum to invest. So you can invest $1, you can invest $1,000. There's no minimum amount that you need in your account to invest in this fund. Let's look at the annual rates of return. Last year it did 22.22%. And over the last 10 years, it has averaged year over year 20.76%. Let's look at the top 10 holdings within this fund. Number 1 is going to be Apple, which means this fund owns a large chunk of Apple stock compared to any other stock that they have within the fund. Now, it doesn't mean that it's the majority of the fund, like there's 40% Apple stock within this fund. There may only be 5 or 6%, but compared to other stocks, there may only be 2 to 3% of the fund in Google or Facebook or Tesla. Within the top 10, they're all companies that you've probably heard of because these are large US companies that have large capitalization. And if you do want to buy this fund or any other fund mentioned in this video, when you're logged into your Fidelity account, you just hit the green buy button and you select which account that you want to purchase the fund from, whether you have a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, or a brokerage account, and select the dollar amount that you want to purchase of this fund. If you're having trouble finding the fund, you can always search it by just the ticker symbol, which is abbreviated as FNCMX. Instead of spelling out the total Fidelity Nasdaq Composite Index Fund, you just use the ticker symbol and you can find it and purchase it. Number 2 is going to be the Fidelity US Sustainability Index Fund. This is a newer fund that Fidelity has created back in 2017 and has performed really well since its inception. Let's look at the rates of return. For the last year, it did 31.57%, and in the last 3 years, it's done 27.11%. It hasn't hit the 5-year stat yet, but over the life of the fund, it's done 19.01%. The expense ratio is really low, 0.11%, and there is $0 minimum to invest, as well as no transaction fee to buy the fund. So you're not gonna pay any fees to purchase amount of stock within this fund, and you're gonna expend a really low expense ratio to keep your money within the fund. This Fidelity fund is meant to mirror the MSCI USA ESG Index, which that index invests in mid to large size US companies with high environmental and social performance relative to their sector peers. So if we look at the top 10 holdings within this fund, it's gonna be Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, Home Depot, MasterCard, companies that you've heard of, mid-sized to large US companies that are socially or environmentally friendly. And the third and final index fund that I'll mention in this video is gonna be the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. Just like Warren Buffett said, you can never go wrong with investing in the S&P 500, and if you were to only pick one investment for his entire life, it would be the S&P 500. The Fidelity 500 Index Fund is meant to mirror the S&P 500. The S&P 500 used to be made up of 500 best US companies, typically mid to large size. Now there's a little bit over 500 companies. Now the rates of return for this index over the last year was 28.69%. 5 years, 18.46%, and over the last 10 years, it has averaged 16.54%. The expense ratio for this one is gonna be the lowest out of any other fund mentioned in this video, 0.015%, which is super low even for an index fund. And there is $0 minimum to invest within this fund, so you can invest $1, $1,000, or whatever amount you choose. And if you look at the top 10 holdings within the S&P 500, it's gonna be a lot of common US stocks of companies that you've heard of. Now, there are a lot of tech companies mixed into the top 10 holdings within this S&P 500 fund. However, it doesn't mean the S&P 500 is purely a tech fund. It just happens to be that in the United States, tech companies have performed really well. So there's gonna be a good amount within the S&P 500. But there are also some energy stocks, there's also some real estate stocks, there's also some utility stocks within the S&P 500. Thanks for watching this short and quick video, guys. If you got anything out of the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. It helps me to keep putting out these videos for free. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It would help out the channel a lot. I will see you guys in next week's video.